And we're back. You got to see maybe one match, at least one match.
You at least saw normal. There is a hard difficulty level playthrough coming. Also, if it's not already up there. So we'll try and during the review we'll try not to give the results of that away. Although I'll probably blow it and I'll have to edit it out.
Probably.
Yeah,
I do that a lot.
I'm stupid that way.
Did you? This is really bad because we recorded this at different times. Did you win your standard match or did you not?
I guess you haven't got that far in editing, have you?
I haven't started yet.
Oh. Well, the answer is no.
It's been a week and I've already forgotten it.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty sad.
But you came close, didn't you?
Not really.
You got messed up by that one monster,
right? Well, I mean, it was kind
of.
It was. I mean, it was kind of close, but kind of not. I mean, I got to the point where I was just looking, and it was like it's literally impossible for me to do anything,
right?
Unless you guys watched it and said, "Hey, dummy, why don't you just do this?"
We also made a couple mistakes in the video that I pointed out with like the food eating and I guess taking damage or taking.
We fixed that in the second one, and I don't think that we had anything earth-shattering that would have affected, except the food eating, which which actually affected in Jeb's game a little more than because that's when we figured it out. I mean, I say Jeb's game, he played the hard version. But because of my food ability with the hunter, it didn't affect as much. So
thumbs up, thumbs down.
A huge thumbs up, which I started to talk about a little bit in the intro. I don't play a lot of solo games, even though I do have some games that are supposed to be really, really good playing solo because. And maybe you guys are like this too. I don't particularly want to set up one of the big long games to run through myself. That's just me.
Well, a lot of people online are also like, well, if I'm going to play a game by myself, might as well just throw a video game in. That way, I don't have to set up.
But I know on the other hand, you do. Like you play the D&D stuff, and I don't know how complicated it is to set up. But Jeb's willing to sit down and do that. I just don't usually do that. But when I saw this and how simple it is to set up, and as soon as you understand how to play, it's kind of like playing solitaire.
It was actually pretty funny because before we recorded the episode, I wanted to sit down and actually like refresh it myself. So I like put it together and I was like, I'll just play a round or two. And like it went so fast, I was like, I played all 4 rounds. It's like, why not? It was 20 minutes. So.
Yeah. It goes. The pace is pretty good. You're not gonna have to sit here and play 4 hours. I will also say, especially if you didn't watch the Origin things, which you guys probably didn't. Yeah. Our little snippet of that. Excuse me. When we talked about this. And even after we played, Jeb and I were sitting around, because we thought some of the stuff was a little easy. Like, wow, that was kind of, feel like it might have been easier than what it was supposed to be, but we had all kinds of ideas on how you could house rule stuff, make it a little bit harder, make it a little bit easier, whatever. Well, of course, at the time, we weren't thinking about making it easier. But then when we played this game, it was like, oh, that's how you lose. That being said, we've actually seen some comments online, too, of people saying, is it supposed to be this easy? And it could be just a coincidence because, the episode that you saw, I clearly lost unless you guys come back and say, hey, you made a major bonehead and you should have been able to win. Well, regardless if I made a bonehead or not, I lost. So it is possible to lose the game. And depending on what you roll for a monster and stuff like that, without giving anything away, Jeb's hard game, if it's not up yet, his last monster was kind of ridiculous. It was pretty nasty. The scouting, it is an ability that neither of us used, and I think that the reason for that is time is so precious that we didn't want to. waste, not waste, but
we'd rather like get some kind
get,
of
get some
material
materials
or some
and stuff
effort
like
or
that. But
something.
kind of now thinking about it, it's like, well, if I know what's coming, then I know what I need.
Yeah, so I mean that's another thing.
Right.
When we play it again, then maybe we'll
Like,
try a scout at the very beginning,
right,
and see if I want to like trick it or fight it.
Exactly, because if you scout and then maybe do orienteer a few times, looking for specific items, or knowing that whatever you already have is going to work, you know, based on the rolls or whatever. You can't do anything about, you know, monster getting good rolls every time.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some abilities that let you manipulate the bad guy, but you got to find them.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of flaws in the design and stuff like that. It's kind of a shame that we don't know what the state of the game is with the problems that the Kickstarter had. Because who knows if the designer is going to be able to do anything. I don't know all the logistics of that because the game screams more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked to him at Origins...
He already had plans.
Yeah, he said he was
Tons
already thinking about, like, co-op and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's, what, a year or so ago? Maybe, about a year ago, so who knows?
And definitely more stuff. I honestly, because of how good this is solo, I could care less. There's so many games that already do co-op. If you just threw co-op out the window, I'd be perfectly fine with it. Now, maybe the co-op would be like, hey, just 2 people, which to keep it
I wouldn't see it being more than 2.
This game was designed to be the one-person game. I almost feel like, well, nobody's doing that.
Right.
At least not a lot. I mean, there's certainly plenty of games now that are 1 to 4 players or 1 to 5 players or whatever, and you know, a lot of times people are like, well, I don't really like the way the AI works, it's a totally different experience and this and that. On the other hand, some of them come back and say they did a really good job with the solo one. This is a solo game and they did a really good job with the solo game. The components were really nice. The cardboard, the grooved cardboard to keep track of all the stats is always a plus in these types of things. The cardboard's thick; it shouldn't warp for a long time unless it's under, you know, bad humidity conditions or whatever.
I like the reference cards with the Fox token. So you can keep track of where you're going because sometimes you're like. You just get into it and you're like, I'm going to keep going, and then you forget where you left off, and you just got to train yourself to move that Fox token, or else you'll get lazy and fall into the trap of not being able to.
It's definitely a nice touch, especially when you're first. Your first couple run-throughs, because after your first couple run-throughs, you are probably going to do what Jeb just said, and you're just gonna go. But the fact is that at that point, you'll probably know where you are, and you can just glance at the card and pick up, oh, these are my options for this point in time. And then having the flow chart for the monsters, so for yourself and when you have a monster battle. Really nice touches. There's cheat sheets for, you know, all the symbols.
I like the what is it, the achievement card? I don't know if I'll play it that much since I've got a ton of other games to play and other stuff to do, but I did like the achievements because I was reading through them and I was like, oh, they've got an achievement for each difficulty of the game, and then some of them I think one's like win 3 games in a row, so that means you'd have to consecutively win them, and that might not be easy.
And the little score, you're talking about the actual sheet, and then they have the score pad.
The score pad for keeping score of each match,
so you keep, so, and, you know, and there's a good amount of paper on there, too, to try to, you know, and that goes back to kind of like the difficulty level. If you find it maybe easy, then, well, try to do one of the things that they recommend for an achievement. Can you do that? That type of thing, because those are going to be difficult just based on the fact that it's a card game, so, you know, the stuff may be easy one round, but more difficult another round. I like the quality of the cards was fine. I mean, they're not linen or anything, but they're not flimsy pieces of crap either.
I don't know how well they would be sleeved fitting into the box because I didn't sleeve them.
Too many.
Yeah,
your box would be bursting. But I mean, you could put it in a different box if you're a sleeve everything type of person. And this game could get a lot of use if you ended up liking it. So I like the random monsters. So I mean, throughout the game, that leaves a lot of combinations because you figure it's a random monster each of the 4 phases.
24 monsters total. You're hitting 4 of them each game, and there's a chance that you could hit the same or the different one each time.
So that's, they did a good job with that. And when we talk about all that stuff, that's where all the things came for, like expansions and stuff.
Oh, right.
You could do a whole new sets of
like
levels,
monsters,
and you could even build more levels for
more difficult monsters,
right? That kind of stuff, and then more items. I'm sure they could come up with some more
the
mechanics.
weapons is what I was thinking, because right now I think there's only like 5 or 6 weapons, something like that, but they kind of branch off on how you build them, and I'm like, you could easily throw in more weapons and how to build them and things like that. So I mean,
definitely.
Even like the bare hands, you could go into like, instead of a weapon, like better fist fight. Like you learn like
total melee.
You like no weapons, but it's like better. So who knows?
So I don't even kind of know where to go with it because it's just solid. Mm-hmm. I don't have too much more to say because there's not much to say about the solo game if you watch this. If you watch this play, because like I said, it's reminiscent of kind of playing a solitaire, and you roll one die once in a while. Mm-hmm. I mean, they even made that, like, even the combat, combat isn't like you're dice chucking. It's like, do I have the resources, spend the resources, and it happens. Mm-hmm. It's so simple.
The only time you're really rolling the die is during battle. Like, during your phase, it's mostly like draw cards and see what you can do with them.
Right. So there's like no mathing either in it.
Right.
It's like, can you find a number in a pile of monsters? That's about as hard as it gets. Right. Look at a chart and that number does this. That's it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just well designed. I don't think I have much more to say for it. It's definitely 2 thumbs up for me. It'll probably be one of the only things I play solo. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm kind of like Jeb. I got a ton of stuff to play anyways, but I actually took it on vacation when I first got it, and I got it all set up and the rules played, and then somebody called me away to do something because we were at the beach and blah, blah, blah. But the point is, it set up on a camper table, so you don't need a ton of room. Now, I won't say it's really... You do need to be able to spread out a little bit, mm-hmm. but...
because you want to make sure you can see everything.
Yeah. So. I mean, there are, a decent amount of things going on, but not overly.
I know once you know how to actually play everything and you take away the reference cards, that'll save you some space as well. So.
Yeah, that's true. And you could just grab those if you got stuck on something or if you ran across something weird. I felt like for the most part the rule book was, I think it was pretty good. And the reason I say I think it was pretty good is because I got to play the game with the designer, so I don't know if my view of the rule book is a little skewed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because when I'm reading stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember him doing that. Mm-hmm. But I think for the most part,
I think it was okay. I wouldn't say it's like really bad or bad itself, but I think it could have been organized a little bit better. But since, like you said, since we played with the guy, we kind of already knew most of the stuff.
It was like a refresher, so when we were reading it was like, oh, I remember doing that. So somebody that's never touched it, I I don't know if it's going to stink or not, but I feel like since it is a short game, I mean, hopefully you're watching our videos, but you could find something online to show you how it goes, and hopefully we didn't dub up anything when we played, but I think we got most of it.
Yeah. Things to remember.
Jeb's standard, go down the list, like
because if you don't go down the list, you'll forget things like rest, which is kind of important, because that's an option that you might want to do sometimes.
Yeah.
What was the other one? I know eating food is important. Don't skip that just because you're going really fast. It's like, killed the monster, got rewards, time for the next phase. It's like, you got to eat there. So.
If you don't remember to do that, that could be... And I'm just guessing, that could be the reason why some of the people are saying that they're winning so easily. Because, if you don't... I mean, you could take a whole turn just collecting food, and like I said, time's burning and stuff like that. But the point of the food is that when you're eating, and this goes along things to remember, don't forget, food isn't a 1-to-1 ratio all through the levels.
Right.
It's I mean, it's not like, oh, level 2, I eat 1. No, level 2, you gotta eat 2. And if you don't eat 2, the penalty's worse.
Yeah, so if you're at the end of level 4, you have to eat 4 food. And if you don't eat any of them, the first one costs you 1 effort. The second one costs you 2 effort. The third one, 3 effort. And the fourth one, 4 effort.
So you're down 10 if you can't eat anything.
In the last round.
In the last round. So that could be another reason why people aren't like, oh, well, that was easy. Well, did you eat your food every single level? Because if you think about it, it's like, I gotta do food, and I'm hoping to upgrade my weapon, and
there's
a
good amount of stuff to manage. Like, you can't do everything.
Right.
It's like worker placement.
It is kind of like you can't do everything.
Especially when you get the encounter cards, it's like, oh, well, maybe you didn't see any food cards, so...
And they did give you, like, there are options that if you get kind of screwed on something, there is some exchange rates with your effort that are really, really a bad exchange rate, but you can do it to get there. Right. You might not win, but you have a teeny chance.
Yeah, if you turned 8... small effort into 1 large effort after a couple conversions, then the reverse way is if you're out of small effort and you have to take 1, you could spend 1 big effort instead, but that's netting you -7.
So they did a good job with, if you didn't earn these things naturally or find them or whatever, you're not getting a good deal.
Right.
So anyways. I don't.
Oh, another thing is when you get a monster, make sure you read all the text, because sometimes you can skip over like the passive or the reaction,
and those
that's above their.
That's a big deal if they have some abilities that you're not paying attention to. The monster I fought, not being able to hit him for over 3 is one of the biggest things that killed me.
There's one that's like, the only way to do damage is if you spend a cunning as well. So like every attack has to have an extra cunning. So it's like, if you miss that, then you're gonna be like, oh, that guy was pretty easy, and then you're like, oh wait.
See, now that's a perfect example of that would have been a huge one to have scouted out. Because you could have been ignoring cunning as they came up the whole time, and if you knew that you needed it, you would have stockpiled it. Because, I mean, even chipping away 1 at a time is better than not being able to hit at all.
Yeah, if you go in that battle and you have no cunning, then you pretty much just lost.
I mean, there is an exchange rate for cunning too, but...
You have to do that in the middle of the battle too.
Right, so that takes up an entire turn, you have to earn it, and then you come back, and you can only... do it once, right?
Once per round in the battle.
Right.
So it's like, convert, take a hit. Convert, take a hit. And
so that's a lot of swings they get before you do it. So, I mean, we're getting a little bit sidetracked with strategy and things like that, but an example of, the point was read, make sure you know what the monster does.
Yep. Read the whole card.
And, like, if you get in one of those situations like we just talked about, either or, and you're looking and you're like, there's absolutely 100%, I can't beat this guy. If you didn't get ambushed, make sure you check the trickery. You might be able to get out of it that way. I mean, better than nothing. You're not going to... The next round's going to be a lot harder because you didn't get any reward, but you're not dead.
Yeah, that's the
right?
key. Don't die.
You know? I mean, so that's a good point.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so both Jeb and I really hope that the whole mess with this thing ends up getting cleaned up, and this, you know, and Artem is able to expand on his creation here because it's really good.
Yeah. And I guess the only thing I have to say is if you guys want to see a specific person being played, I think there's only 4 people.
Yeah, we only have two left, but if you want to see somebody else...
Yeah, we can get those up pretty quick because it's solo, so...
I mean, we'd certainly love to do it, and, you know, I mean, Jeb could even record one at his house if he had nothing better to do, because you don't necessarily need both of us at the same time to do it, and he owns the camera, so... but it's not quite the same as, like, when you see us play Dice Throne characters.
Yeah.
I mean, each character is going to have just a couple different abilities, but the game is going to play exactly the same. But some of those abilities are pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, the first guy that I had, I could, you know, the food ability, it was really huge, and, you know, being able to flip over 5 cards was pretty nice too. So, without spending any time to do it.
Yeah, that's the key.
I mean, it took me a regular token, or a hero token, whatever you want to call it, but still, time is pretty precious in this game.
Yep.
Alright, so I have nothing else, so...
Yep, if you have questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the video. And as always, if there's any specific game you want to see, let us know. We'll try to get that up on the list, because we've got plenty of games that are on the list. Alright, so I think that's everything. So until next time, see ya.
See ya.
Boards and booze, booze and boards, with Mickey and Jeb.